Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we will cover another topic in Spring Framework series on bean annotation. We'll see how it helps the developer to control the managed beans in Spring application. So without any further delay, let's start. The bean annotation is a feature in Spring Framework which is used to indicate that a method in Java class is responsible for creating and configuring the instance of a bean, which will be managed by Spring IOC container. So when this annotation is used on a method, Spring will recognize that particular method as a factory method and will use the returned object as managed bean. This will give control to the developer for creating and configuring the objects in Spring application. Managed beans are the objects in your application which are managed by Spring IOC container and injected wherever required. From the creation of instance till they are destroyed, all that is handled by Spring IOC container for the managed beans. In Spring Framework, we used to provide bean definition in the XML file in the beginning. There we use bean tag to create it. The @bean annotation will do the exact same work. This annotation supports the attributes offered by the bean tag as well. That is, we can define the custom init method using init method option. Similarly, we can provide destroy method, auto wiring, and even the name of the bean. Now let's see how to declare a bean using this annotation. To declare a bean, you can annotate a method with @bean annotation. That method is used to register the bean definition within the application context. By default, the bean name is same as the method name. In this example, we have a configuration class appConfig and a method myService, which is annotated with @bean. This method is returning instance of myService IMPL, and that instance will be created and managed by Spring IOC container. And when the instance of my service will be required in any other bean, then Spring IOC container will inject that instance of my service IMPL, which was created using this method. This configuration is exactly equivalent to the XML configuration of a bean, which is given here. Now let's see how to manage bean dependencies. @bean annotated method can have any number of parameters that are required to build that particular bean. Those are known as dependencies. For instance, if our my service IMPL requires my repo bean, then we need to provide it as a parameter to the method as we have done in this particular example. Now let's see the lifecycle calls that are supported. That is, we can specify the custom init, custom destroy methods along with bean annotation itself. Suppose we have this bean1 which is having its usual fields and functions, but in addition to that, there is one function written for performing the initialization steps for the bean. Now in the configuration class where the method is available with @bean annotation, we can define init method property and provide its custom init method name, which is steps for init. This will automatically bind this particular method to be executed on the bean creation itself. If you want to learn more about how we can manage the lifecycle callbacks using various other ways, please check out the video from top right corner of your screen. There I have already explained what are the different ways to manage the lifecycle callbacks using XML, using Java code based configuration, and using annotations. Now let's see how we can define scope for the beans. Spring have another annotation which is @scope to manage the scope of a bean. You can specify that your bean should have a specific scope using this annotation. You can use any of the standard scopes, for example, singleton, prototype, session, etc. If we do not mention anything, then by default the scope is singleton in Spring. For example, in this case, the bean my service will have prototype scope. That is, every time this bean is requested from another bean to wire, then a new instance will be created and returned from this method. To understand in detail regarding scope, you can check out the detailed video I have done on the same. You can access the same from top right corner of your screen right now. Now let's see how we can provide the user defined name for your beans. By default, the bean name is same as the method name, but we can also provide our own user defined name for the bean. We can either use name attribute and its value as a bean name, or we can directly provide the bean name value in @bean annotation as given in this example. So here the name of the bean returned by this method is myBean, and in case that value is not configured, then by default it will take the name of the method, which is bean. Standard Java convention is used when naming the beans. That is, bean name starts with a lowercase letter and are camel cased from there. Sometimes it is required for a particular bean to have multiple names. This can be achieved using name aliasing. The name attribute of bean annotation accepts an array of string for this purpose. Suppose a bean is used in three different systems, and in all three systems, the name required is different. So its configuration can be done like @bean and then array of those names passed to the annotation as given on the screen. Now let's discuss the last item for today's video, which is description of a bean. Sometimes it's also helpful to provide more detailed textual description of a bean. This can be particularly useful when beans are actually exposed for monitoring purposes. To add the description of a bean, you can use @description annotation along with @bean annotation. Like in this example, the description will be this is a service bean. That's it for this video. We'll cover some more concepts of Spring Framework in the next video. Please let me know if you want me to cover some specific topic in Spring. I hope this video was helpful to you. In case you like it, please share it across with your dev community. Also, don't forget to like and comment with your feedback. Thank you so much for watching and keep learning.